I sent them to scare everyone by firing off their guns. No one was supposed to get shot. I was not supposed to get shot. They waited for her to elaborate. Why, Shelby asked. Why tell people you were pregnant when you weren't, Dobbs asked. Why throw a baby shower for a baby that never existed? Explain it to us, Shelby said. Without cleaning her face, Diana walked from the bed to the table where the tequila bottle was. She poured herself 3 fingers and pointed at the prop hanging on the hotel chair. Neither of you asked me about that. What is it? Beto asked. Diana looked at her wet face in the mirror and searched for auguries. My first boyfriend was born in India. He converted me to Hinduism. They both said they didn't know anything about that. Diana took a sip. Hinduism was very real to me, something I felt deeply. Then one day, a few weeks after we broke up, I thought he had gotten me pregnant. I stopped having my period and I began to see visions. I saw that the baby inside me was the coming Kalki. The what? Beto asked. The 10th avatar of Vishnu, foretold to appear at the end of the present epoch, the harbinger of the end of everything. I told my teacher about it, all my friends. I even told my mom, who did her best to convince me that I was confused. She took me to a Christian church that prayed for me. She took me to a psychologist. She even called up Dr. Phil and tried to get me on the show. The producer said they would have taken me if they thought I was pregnant with baby Jesus, but too many Americans would be confused about who Kalki was exactly, so they turned us down. My due date came and went without a baby ever coming, and my visions of Kalki on a white horse faded. I realized that I was wrong. Even though I hadn't been consciously lying to myself, I had, for some reason, made myself really believe that I was having this baby. The whole experience made me realize that I was meant for greater things. I was meant for people to know my name. So I moved to LA to become a famous actress. We looked you up on YouTube once, Ruben said. You used to come out in Billboard movies and shit. Diana stepped into the motel bathroom, got a towel from the rack, and wiped off her face. She walked back out and looked at the meth pipe sitting on the table beside the tequila bottle. She hadn't smoked with them tonight. Diana said, on the night of the 17th, I'm throwing a party. I want the two of you to come with your guns and fire shots into the ceiling and the walls. Ruben sat up. Whoa, we ain't killing nobody. I said into the ceiling and the walls. You just have to scare them. Why? Because it's my gender reveal party. The people are coming for the baby they think I'm about to have. Beto and Ruben looked at her stomach and then at the prop she had fitted around it when she showed up. Why have you been lying about being pregnant? Beto asked. For the attention, Diana said, as if the answer to that question was so obvious there was no point in asking it. When you two show up and fire your guns at everybody, the shock from having gone through it will cause me to miscarry. I'll become famous. Everyone will want to help me. I don't want to do that, Ruben said. If you don't, I'll call the cops and tell them the two of you kidnapped me and raped me. Do you think anyone would doubt an accusation like that coming from me against the two of you? Probably not, Ruben said. I'll make both of you wish you never met me. Beto scratched a sore on his face. I wish that already, he said. I'll give you 10% of the money I can raise from helpful strangers on the internet. Imagine how much they'll be willing to give, knowing that 2 drug-addicted Mexicans came into my baby shower and shot up the place, causing me to miscarry. Diana smiled. The cops are a lot of money for one night's work. You decide. You told them not to shoot you. Why did they? Shelby asked. They probably got too high. You didn't realize the doctors would have told us you were never pregnant? My miscarriage was already out on the news. Everything was going as planned. If you hadn't found Beto and Ruben, would you have bothered to ask? We would have found out, Shelby said. Diana shrugged. That part doesn't matter now. You're right, it doesn't, Shelby said. You aren't following. Diana stared at Shelby. When I saw you two at the hospital and I realized that you'd figured it out, I changed my plans. Or rather, I realized that my plans had been something entirely different all along. What does that mean, Shelby asked. I thought that my place, where I could really get the amount of attention I wanted from the world, would come in the form of being the victim, the expectant mother who lost her baby in a mass shooting. But I was wrong. My place is in being the woman who planned this crime. Think about what's coming. People are going to marvel at the bottomless evil inside me. They'll speculate about my real motive. They'll eat up the teary, remorseful interviews I'll do from prison where I explain how I was abused as a little girl and that a culture of oppression and drug abuse and systemic patriarchy drove me to these misguided ends. It will be a shocker for the ages. In high school, I thought that I was having Kalki. I thought he lived inside me, but I was confused. I see now that I am Kalki. Or at least that's what I'm starting to believe as I sit here. Diana looked up at the blank ceiling of the interrogation box as if it was a night sky full of astrological portents. Woo-wee, bitch, Shelby said. They're gonna like your white ass in prison. Thank you.